Hi, and welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast. I'm your host, Jill Hart, and with us today is Janice Silva. Janice is a life and health coach who helps people address deficiencies, stress, and toxins through her system of protein pacing and biotonically supported intermittent fasting, and how it all starts with self-love. She's also the host of the Art of Joyfully Living podcast. Want to forget that part. Welcome, fellow podcaster.
Thank
So
you.
nice to have you. It's really great to have you here. And I know your story is so inspirational because I was checking you out over on your website and I've been stalking you for a while now. So why don't you tell the audience all about you, how you got into what you're doing and your journey?
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I love sharing my story and hope to inspire others to keep dreaming. Um, it's funny because the name of my business now has really evolved to the art of living joyfully. But it's been evolving over 36 years. I've been an entrepreneur. I was raised by entrepreneur parents, and I always knew that I just couldn't work for anybody else. When I was pregnant with my son, my first child, he's 35 now, and I knew that I couldn't go back to work. I wanted to raise him. So I was always looking for something to do while I could be at home. And I, dabbled in some different things like we all do when we're young. And Then my husband and I, after I could go on and on about that, but I don't want to take away from the other, but through a really beautiful process, we ended up buying a 100-year-old farm in Central California. And I knew that I wanted to be at home and teach my children where their food came from. Because I grew up in Beverly Hills and I grew up in the 70s and the era where food was starting to be fast food, TV dinners wrapped in plastic. And was just
Tinfoil.
right. And the seed oils were coming out and all that stuff. And I thought my food came from the market. And so I wanted to raise my kids and have them understand the process and grow our food. And then it quickly evolved. I wanted to have a lavender farm. I had visited one in Los Olivos, California, and I'd seen some in Europe, and we felt inspired to do that. So we ended up, my husband and I, who was a builder, he retired from building and became a farmer. And farmers, by the way, are my favorite people because they're so optimistic, because despite what happens year after year, they still go out and plant their seeds. So I love farmers. Shout out to them. And we became one, and we had a farm stand, and we would sell our tomatoes and $300 in cash that day in our farm box, and we could leave the box out. Nobody would take it. And my kids really learned what it was like to live off of the land, and to be part of a community of people. We started with the wine tasting. Agritourism movement was just getting started, and I loved it. So we became the largest tourist draw in our town. People loved coming there year after year, and we would cast the vision of what we were going to do, and then they'd come back and see it, and then I would round them into the store and they'd buy all our wonderful products that we made there, and I would teach them about lavender and plant wellness. I've always been into alternative plant wellness growing up, also in LA. I think we were a little ahead of the time. So I've always loved it. And I really learned a lot about farming and growing. And so we would do everything from propagating to planting, harvesting, or tending, then harvesting, then distilling, then bottling or packaging, labeling, marketing. And I was a Chamber of Commerce ambassador. So we were welcoming to the community, and I absolutely loved it. It was my dream life. People would roll out of the car to have some lavender lemonade and tell me I was living their dream. And I would be able to talk to them for 30 minutes to an hour and share these wonderful stories I have, that I was growing up with really incredibly interesting people in my life that I wanted to share, that they could live their dreams and they didn't need to ever give up. And we were a living testament. So then we got a loan. I spent some time with the Small Business Administration to hone my business skills. And we got a loan from the USDA to take it to the next level. And we went on our first vacation in 3.5 years, and I stepped in a hole on my husband's 60th birthday at 12 noon, and life completely changed. Instead of vacation, it was 5 days in the hospital, really difficult surgery. I almost lost my leg, and had 4 surgeries after that, just to keep it. So Life change is like having a stroke. You have to relearn to walk. And my beautiful concert hall at my farm where we lived became the hospital hall, and life just changed overnight. And the previous year, I had won Business Person of the Year for bringing an industry to the area that was needed. And we had helped other people start lavender farms. I was the lavender lady. I loved it. It was my legacy for my family. I had birthed it. We planted all 14,000 plants. We built the house with our hands. It was ours. And so quickly within a year, we realized that we were going to have to sell, and we ended up selling it short and walking away and bankrupted by the medical emergency. Not prepared. Nowhere in the business plan, nowhere did it say how to be prepared for something like that. What's your plan B? What are you going to do? And I felt very upset. I was also teaching Pilates at the farm for years, and I was teaching women how to have a tight transversus abdominis, so if they'd be less likely to break a hip. It would save their life. And so when I stepped in a hole and went down so hard and lost everything, I got very resentful. And when I look back on that person, I'm shocked. But I was also under the duress of heavy medication and a lot of pain, and I don't do well with medication, so I had to quickly get off of that. And then cannabis was my only savior, because I don't do well with pharmaceuticals. I do well with plants, plant medicine. I'm an advocate. So for healing, especially for trauma, we're finding it to be such a benefit. So I had a lot of trauma to work through, which I've been doing for. And please interrupt me because I could talk on and on. If you need to ask me anything, just go, hey, because I can keep going.
Keep going.
Okay. So I felt like I lost my venue and my legacy and who I was. I was the lavender lady. And there were a lot of disappointments and sense of failure and what happened. And I soon realized that I heard my voice in my head. I had been saying I need a break probably for about 6 months prior to the accident. It was my mantra. And I heard my voice in my head saying, I need a break. I need a break. I need a break.
Yeah,
And
you just don't want to tell your brain things like that
no, and
because
I
it
didn't
will
realize.
give, it will deliver
And I think the
every single
lesson was
time.
that. That was the lesson, is watch what you're saying, right? Because you will manifest it, and it may not be what you want, but it will get what you need. And I did need to take that shift because my mom, I discovered she had Alzheimer's. And so I took her off all the meds they'd put her on, got her on cannabis, and changed her situation, moved her in with me when we moved out of the farm into an apartment close to her. And I was able to care for her for 7 years. And we were able to I was able to get work in network marketing, which I love. I'm comfortable in direct sales. And we were able to move up to Bend, Oregon and grow for patients again with my whole family, my son, my daughter, my mom, my husband. And it was just beautiful healing time for my mom and for me. I'm grateful for it. And I just kept healing, but I wasn't releasing the 100 pounds I had put on. It just was, I would try everything from gluten-free, sugar-free, wheat-free. And there was just so much other resistance from the self criticism, and the shame and all the other things I had to work for. So when I say address deficiencies, I also mean mental and emotional deficiencies as well as physical. They go together, as well as financial. They all go together for that holistic wellness. And why I love what I do, because it is really a whole package. But so I had a partner I was working with. We decided, my husband and I, after a lot of things that happened, that would be another call. We ended up being full-time RVers for 3.5 years. And we had so much fun waking up and enjoying our days and healing. And it's where I really built my business, my team, my group of people, my customers, my peeps. And I loved it. And when I started having some skin issues that really were like I'd never had anything like that. And so it was a rash, and then it turned into MRSA, and then I had to go on many rounds of antibiotics. And then finally, when I was healed, supposedly the doctor said, you've got to get on a good probiotic, lose at least 50 pounds, and boost your immune system immediately, or you're going to be on a lifetime of medications. And then she turned and left the room. So they don't give you solutions, but unless you want to take drugs, and she already knew I was not interested in that. So that really woke me up. And it just at that same time, the right person and I that I'd been working with said that he had been brought on to the company I'm with, Isogenics, to open Korea. And did I know it? And I said, heck yeah. I was in their first company. I know the owners well. And I'd love to try it. And within 3 days, I knew it just shifted, and I was able to release that weight and benefit from that Korea and all of that wonderful stuff and have a whole new life that I could build. And I've since, in these 7 years later, been released 100 pounds and helped countless other people, achieve their goals, whether it's up their weight or down their weight. It's really about a rebalancing and a resetting. And the way we do that is addressing the deficiencies, which always are first the mental and emotional, because I watched my dad, I cared for him and my mom die of
Mhm.
very bad diseases, and they got very skinny. And I had had some subconscious blocks to release weight because I felt that that meant death. And
Mhm.
so I had to work through that just to get really going, right? Because we can lose a little bit here and there, but when you need to release 100, it's a serious deal. And so I really
And
worked
most
on
of it
that.
is mental.
It starts
People
there for sure.
don't really realize that it starts in your head first, and you got to figure out what it is that your brain is doing to you
Right.
to keep you from
It's holding you back. It's
it
definitely
does
holding
hold you
you back.
back.
And it wants to protect you, though. So
Mm.
for me, it's been trying to protect me as well. And so it's really working through that. But here's the deal: when you're that toxic, um, the toxins are stored in your fat. And when you have visceral fat around your gut, that it's like a constant IV drip into your organs and your body, and it does not enable your cells to be happy cells to do what they need to do. So you have to address the toxins and the protein deficiency, which is most people are protein deficient. So I've learned through this system that we have, and with this beautiful doctor, our human research scientist, with many, many clinically validated, peer-reviewed, published documents on humans, that show that when we paste that protein throughout the day, quality protein, and so we're giving our body that nutrition that we need, because we don't really make it. We need all the amino acids. We need the things to give us what we need. Then, and we're hydrating. And I like the idea of biohacking. So I'm doing all the NAD, and we need collagen. I'm always adding in all the stuff when we do that. And then also we detox. And I know a lot of people are intermittent fasting, but there's a real difference when you support it with this botanical drink that we have, Cleanse for Life, that has been around since 23 years, since day one, and it has a lot of studies. I've seen the videos of how blood just looks better and works better after consuming it. I've been doing cleanse days now for 7 years, and it's just life changing because it helps your body release the toxins, so then your cells can be happier. So with 96 billion cells, I believe it is, and 1 trillion cells recreated every 60 seconds, we are constantly recreating our bodies. So if we're upping our mindset and we're feeding our body and nourishing it well, things that happen, the side effects are no rashes on your skin, healthy, beautiful, glowing skin, healthy hair, healthy nails, healthy vision, healthy gut. Boy, I have no gut issues when you address and heal that gut and reset. So I just love people to understand that you're not the problem. You're not the problem, but you can be the solution by giving yourself what it needs. And that starts by loving yourself enough to pay attention to what you're putting in your mind. Are you saying things like, I'm so stupid throughout the day, or I am so overwhelmed throughout the day? Those kind of messages are going to just keep increasing that. Or you're living my dream. I wish I could live my dream. Well, you'll just stay in wishland, right? So I always tell people, if you spot it, you got it. So when people would say, oh, you're living my dream, and I'm going, well, you can spot my dream. That means you've got one, and you got it. You got it. You can do it too. We're all here to do it too. And I know in my work that I'm here to inspire others to heal and remember who they are, so they can be their best version, and to clean it up and to do it with things that are going to get results, because there is a lot out there. And I love to talk to people to kind of help them clear away why I love what I do, why I've chosen it. I'm very picky. Um, and that's another thing that growing up in LA, I know sending so much love to my friends and family in LA right now, but the city of angels, there's a lot. People are saying, oh, it's they're cleaning up the bad. But there's a lot of beautiful there, and they were always very ahead in LA of everything, leading the way. And we can hold that thought for them, and that they're going to show us the way to unity and to caring for each other and to getting back on track. So I'm holding great thought for that as well, in LA right now too.
Yeah,
I feel
I that's kind of a big deal over there. But I'm inspired by your thoughts about people using natural resources to um regulate their bodies instead of trying to use like there's there's a there's a weight loss product on the market right now that I'm not going to say, but you've probably heard of it. It involves injecting yourself once a week, which totally messes up your body. And you don't really ever recover from it. And when you complain to your doctor that it's making you feel worse or really disrupting your ability to absorb any nutrients at all, they double the dose.
Yes.
When
And
when
also
you
they lose the muscles. They lose their muscles and their
uh,
bone density.
and your ability to digest food at all, and not to mention pancreatic problems that are a known side effect of this. And you get pancreatic cancer and you're not coming back, baby. That's it. So we need to take care of our organs and work with them, not against them.
Yeah, I actually have a pack for that too to help support with the protein, and it's our muscle essentials. But people would say to me, "Oh, you're taking those supplements. How long do I have to do that? I don't want to be addicted or have to be beholden to taking collagen every day." And I said, "But your body needs collagen every day. I would rather take a shot of my beautiful collagen elixir than a shot in my arm or leg or wherever it is." So I don't want to be judgmental for them, because sometimes people have tried everything and I know what that feels like. And I'm grateful I found my system before I'm just not a medical person. So that would never have been an issue for me. But it's something that they end up having to do for a long time. And I would rather choose something natural. And plants are here to help us, guide us.
They're so effective.
Adaptogens, my adaptogen elixir is really my favorite elixir. And because lavender is an adaptogen and it helps us adapt to stress. And so these are plants that have grown in very stressful situations around the world for centuries and centuries, that have adapted to these climates. And so I would explain to people when they would come and learn about how we extracted the oil and why. Why would we do that? Well, the oil is in the hair and fiber of the plant, and it's there to protect the plant from viruses, fungus, bacteria, bugs. It's the plant's immunity. So when we are extracting that immunity and we're ingesting it or putting it on our skin or our hair or wherever in the air, we're giving the same energy, the disinfecting energy, the antiviral, antibacterial, antiseptic, inspiring energy from the plant. And there's so many beautiful energies for all these plants. In fact, I would always tell the story at the lavender farm of my great grandfather, who was a famous artist, and he painted with Matisse and Chagall and Picasso. And there's stories of how they painted with lavender, because one, it helped with the glide, and also it was inspiring. And he was one of the first artists. He's kind of the father of the plein air movement, my great grandfather, William Posey Silva. And they painted outside, in the plants, in the flowers, in the gardens, because that's what inspired them to be creative.
I have a story about lavender oil and a friend of mine. Lavender is my favorite plant and essential oil. Just just so you know. You know the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding and the
Yeah.
father with the Windex?
Yeah.
I'm like that with lavender oil. You got something wrong with you? We're putting lavender oil on it. You'll be better soon. So this friend of mine who has she actually has an essential oils business. It's global and it's big. Um, but she years ago, it was maybe 20 years ago now. Her husband, he's a farmer. I live in the country. I totally get all of the farmer stuff. We raised our own animals. There's nothing like raising your own food to really give you an appreciation for food in general. But he was working on a tractor and uh, welding the gas tank that he thought was empty, and it blew up on him, burned his entire face and chest. So because they're farmers and because we live in the country, the medical route was out of the question. They just didn't have the money. It wasn't happening. So she nursed him back to health with lavender oil. Like to put lavender oil on it because it also has some when you put lavender oil on a wound, it has some anesthetic properties to it.
It
It
does, and it was actually in the medic bags for the medics, the doctors in World War One. It is antiseptic.
Yeah, and it numbs the pain also. So she put that on him, and to this day, you cannot tell that he has ever been burned. I mean, it
Wow.
blew up, it burned his entire face. Had he gone through the medical system, you would have known that his face was burned, but you cannot tell his face was burned. That's
That's a
how
huge testament.
powerful lavender oil is.
It
So,
is.
you know,
It really is. I heard so many stories when people would come to the farm and share their stories or how they grew up with their grandmother or how they learned this. What I loved to tell people sometimes that was mind blowing is that it's a cousin, lavender's a cousin to rosemary in the mint family. It's
mhm.
delicious to eat with anything that those are really good with. So it's sweet, it's good sweet or savory.
Chamomile.
It's just so good. And so it's great to see when I first started with the farm, you didn't see a lot. And then all of a sudden they started coming out with the lavender, everything. And it's just so great to see that people are more open and receptive. And I've kept my hand in it. I have a lot of farmers in California and Oregon I work with.
Mhm.
So I've been doing private labeling. So, like, I'll have a massage therapist or a customer of mine that has a business and they want to use an oil, put their label on it. And I've been doing that too to keep my hand in it because I love it so much. Just anything to inspire people to do what they need to do before they leave here because we came in to do something and if you don't
And
feel
there's,
good it sucks.
yeah, and there are so many plants out there that can help you. Comfrey's another one for healing bones and arnica, and I just like a little bit of research, and you can find what you need to help get you beyond the thing that you're experiencing. Because there's just like, we live in an amazing world. And the truth is, pharmaceuticals almost always go back to something in nature. They're trying to
Right.
mimic something in nature. So, I mean, why don't you just go direct to the source?
Absolutely. I mean, aspirin came from willow bark, and
Mm.
people have, been using willow bark for a long time. And then, of course, we know that back in the day when women would try to heal people with natural remedies, they could be burned at the stake. So there's been a lot of issue around this that we're having to break free from. But I have to say, I don't take pharmaceuticals. But
I don't either.
when I broke my leg, and I'm allergic to morphine, I was really grateful that there were options. And for about 2 weeks, I did have to take whatever it is they gave me because thought I was dying. And then I managed to titrate down and I really utilized cannabis and then Tylenol and Advil. And then I was able to get rid of that. And then it was just cannabis. So, but some people get on that oxy whatever and it's now like part of their life forever.
Yeah, that's so sad. And and it doesn't even have to be like a pain medication. It can be other things that you take to change your body when your body chemistry, we're self-regulating beings. Your body is doing what it needs to do in order to keep you alive. When you artificially lower something or raise something or change something, it's affecting something else. Something else has to give in order for that to work. Even with pain medication, and though I too, I've broken bones, and I've been very grateful for the medical community. They do great triage work. But don't think that if you go to your doctor and say, "Hey, I need, this is my experience I'm having right now," or let them tell you that something that's going on with your body can be fixed without you having to do anything, make any changes. You didn't get to that state by living a very natural, holistic life. Something that you were doing caused you to be in dysregulation. So, allowing them to give you something to fix that without taking responsibility for what got you there is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that's what
It
they do with statins. They just throw statins at people.
and blood pressure medicine and all kinds of
Yeah.
other things.
And I have
But
alternatives for that that are natural and plant-based that I'm so grateful for. So I know I have a resource, and that's what I
yeah,
like, helping people have their own resource, because we are our own healers if we can, and but if we are toxic, I have to say it can cloud the view, and you might need some support. So that's where I like to come in.
yeah, and I love that. So do you help people like in a coaching capacity, like in groups or just one-on-one, or you just how does all of that look? I know you do retreats, so let's talk about that too.
Yeah, I'm just coming off a wonderful retreat here in Maui, and we hope to take it to other places. And it's just really about helping people remember who they are,
Mhm.
and celebrate that. It was just awesome. And I have information on my website. People can, if they're interested in that. But I work with people that just come to me and they want to feel better, like, and I coach them one on one. I don't have an offer or a high ticket offer or anything like that, because I'm a very product driven person. I like to make product recommendations and I want them to buy those. So they put their money into themselves, invest in themselves, and start to feel better. They'll want to work with me. And my goal is to have a lifelong customer, because I get paid recurring income on my network of customers. So I'm looking always to help more people. And I do coach, especially people that want it, or people that also want to earn income with it. I love coaching those people, but it's a one-on-one, more customized experience. I've done a lot of webinars, and I have a workshop, and now and then I'll put one out. And so my Facebook group and my YouTube channel and all those kind of things will have all that information. I feel like the people who need me or want to talk to me or would benefit from what I have to share will find me. I do a lot of that kind of, waking up and who can I help today, and who resonates with what I have to say, and wants a little guidance. And I'm kind of straightforward, and sometimes can come off as I'm holding them accountable as a little tough, but I went through a lot. I know every excuse in the book. I've been there, done that to myself, and I have a low tolerance to contribute to that for other people.
Yeah, and sometimes we all just need a firm boot in the butt. So
Yeah.
I know you also are the host of the Art of Joyfully Living podcast. Do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah,
And
it's the same as my thing, the art of living joyfully. It
the
goes
Art
that
of
way.
Living
And
Joyfully.
I get it backwards all the time too. But I have found that, so I grew up in Beverly Hills, I told you that. And I worked out with Richard Simmons and Jane Fonda when Richard Simmons was
Oh,
starting. And I know what it's like to be on the grapefruit diet, to starve myself and lose 10 pounds in a week for that hot dress and date. It was so different when you're older.
diet.
and,
I remember the
and
grapefruit diet.
the hard boiled egg diet. And the thing is, it was all about restriction and deprivation, and
Denial.
bad. And so not good for me. So, and also, I've worked out hard, and working out hard for me isn't work anymore. Neither does deep tissue massage, because anything that throws my body into stress, I'm autoimmune. I became autoimmune after the accident from the stress, primarily the financial stress and the physical stress, of losing everything and having to start over. But I was saying that something, what was I saying?
You're talking about your podcast,
Oh, right.
and
So I find that when I can share in my podcast, um, I feel better, like I have a venue again, and it helps me release and help others. And I hope to inspire people there. I interview people there. I have a lot of people that have been my customers or my clients or I've worked with that have helped me that we interview, and we get into how they cope and deal with stress and all that. So I do love interviewing people. I love being interviewed. But what I found this weekend at the retreat is I want to do more in person. So I'm really looking for people that are interested, and I travel. I'm a traveler, that would like me to come and speak and share. I used to do a lot of it at my farm for large groups. I really feel like it lights me up. I have some great stories. I can make people laugh and talk for a long time. So that's something I'd like to do is inspire more people in community in person.
I'm sure that you're going to be very successful with that. Um, and I have some ideas for you that I'll talk to you about after we're done here. Something just hit me. You also have Biohack Your Life Guide and Free the Art of Living Joyfully workshop.
Yes, this is
Is that
something like it's a little thing that people can opt in and receive, and just talks about my story and why I wanted to round up fast about joy. What I realized was I needed to have more fun, lighten up, and relax, and in not work so hard. Never do I deprive myself. I'm very mindful about what I put in my mind and my mouth. It's intentional, and so in helping others, it keeps me in that space, right? And I found by being of service, I'm really healing myself, which is backwards, but I think anybody who's of service understands that. But this is something that they can get. And like I said, I do some workshops now and then, and I will post them and talk about them. Right now, I'm in the middle of a 90-day reset. I like to work with people 90 days the most because we get the best results, but 30 days is good too. Often they'll do 30s and want to continue. And again, that's just working with me to help support them on my system.
awesome. Awesome. So your website is the art of joy, no, the
The
art
art
of
of living.
living joyfully.com. And that will
Yes,
be in the show notes. So if you want to get a hold of Janice, you can reach her there. You can also reach her in her Facebook group, which is,
the art of living joyfully.
thank you very much. No surprise
There's
there.
there's two of them, so make sure it's mine and Maui.
Okay, so Janice Silva in Maui. Thank you so much for joining me today, Janice. This has been a great conversation. What's the one thing you hope the audience takes away from our conversation today?
Well, thank you to you. I love how professional you are and how you prepare everybody. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of your ideas. So thank you for that. And I love your name, the Coach's Alchemist. It's beautiful. So thank you. What I'd really like people to take away is that, you are the miracle. And when you do these things like address the deficiencies and the stress, right? We got to address the stress and the toxins. Adaptogens can help you with the stress, mindful living, all of those things, and the toxins. It's a great combo. When you do that, the magic happens. And so you're the miracle. And as you learn to love yourself, you will be more joyful. And that's the goal. It's way more fun.
Love it. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, hon.